Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something really practical in project management. What actually happens when project teams sit down to plan their responses to potential risks? We're basing this on the great insights from Project Management for Project Managers by Orlando Casabon.
It's a critical phase, really.
Absolutely. Ever find yourself wondering, what are the concrete outputs? What gets written down when you move from finding risks to actually dealing with them?
Yeah, that's the core of risk response planning, is deciding, okay, what actions are we taking? For threats, sure, but also for the opportunities.
Right, opportunities too. So let's talk outputs. What specific things get formally added, into the risk register during this phase?
Okay, well, first up, you've got the opportunity strategy. This is where you document how you plan to exploit or enhance a positive risk.
Exploit, enhance. Can you give an
Positive-
example?
Sure. Let's say there's a sudden market trend that could massively speed up user adoption for your product. The strategy might be like an accelerated marketing push to really grab that advantage. That plan goes in the register.
Got it. Makes sense. So that's opportunities. What about the negative side, the threats?
For threats, we document risk response actions. Those are the specific, concrete steps we'll take.
Right.
Simple example. Risk of a key person leaving the team. A response action could be, well, starting cross-training someone else now, so we're covered.
Okay, direct action.
Hmm.
But what if that action, like the cross-training, causes its own problems?
Exactly. That brings us to secondary risks. These are risks that pop up because of the response action we chose.
So the cross-training might, slow things down temporarily?
Precisely. Maybe it temporarily dips productivity because people are learning instead of doing their main job. That secondary risk needs noting down too.
Okay, it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So how do we know when to actually, trigger these response actions? We don't want to act too soon or too late.
Good point. That's where warning signals come in. These are basically triggers or indicators that a risk is becoming much more likely or is about to happen.
Like a tripwire.
Sort of, yeah. For instance, maybe for a quality risk with a certain component, a warning signal could be a sudden jump in customer complaints about that specific part.
Okay, an early alert. And someone has to watch for these signals, right? Whose job is that?
Absolutely crucial. That's the risk owner. Each significant risk should have an owner assigned.
Accountability.
Yes. That person is responsible for monitoring the risk, watching for those warning signals, and making sure the response plan actually gets implemented if needed.
Okay, so quick recap. During response planning, we're adding opportunity strategies, response actions, secondary risks, warning signals, and risk owners to the register.
That's the set, yeah.
So to keep it super clear, what things are definitely not decided or added at this stage? Things that happen earlier.
Right, good distinction. Things like the actual effect or impact of the risk that's assessed back in risk analysis. The risk priority, that's determined during evaluation. How much risk we can even stomach. The risk tolerance, that's set up front.
Right.
And the basics, like the probability of the risk happening or its expected monetary value if you're doing quantitative stuff, all that calculation happens before you start planning the specific responses.
Gotcha. So this phase is really laser focused on the what do we do now part.
Yeah.
It's about the actions, the triggers, the ownership.
Exactly. It's about moving from understanding the risk to having a concrete, actionable plan. Keeps the register clean and focused on action.
Makes perfect sense. So the big takeaway here is that risk response planning isn't fuzzy. It generates specific, practical items for the risk register, focused squarely on how to manage risks and opportunities.
Turning analysis into strategy.
And for anyone wanting to really get a deeper grip on this whole process, we definitely recommend the book Project Management for Project Managers by Orlando Casabon. It lays this out very clearly.
It's a solid resource.